All right, we have a full house. Everyone is here. Thank you all for being here on time. Welcome to the first class for EDT 315. This is an 8-week class, so we meet during the first 8-week session. So mid-semester, you will be completed with this class, and I will have another section of the class coming in after that. Um, Basically, tonight, the main goal for me tonight is just to kind of go over the scope of the work for the next 8 weeks. This class is mainly designed to be run as an asynchronous class. So I'll talk a little bit more about this in a while, but I will be online most Monday nights, but those are optional meeting times. So after tonight, most likely, unless you feel a need to, you do not necessarily have to be here for each of the Monday night classes. With the exception of the very last of our meetings in 8 weeks, we will gather once more together to do just a little wrap up and quick presentations of some projects and things like that. So, but in between, the meetings will be optional in terms of our Monday nights. So I want to introduce briefly a little bit about myself. I'd love to go around the room really quick and get a quick sense of who all of you are, especially since we won't be meeting as a full class. It's good to make the connections while we are all here together. And then, like I said, I'm just going to go over some of the main ideas in terms of the class, what we're going to be working on, what the main projects are, and sort of how the class is going to be structured from week to week. So I'm just going to jump right in and get started. So I'm Professor Miller. I am not a doctor. If you call me Dr. Miller, I will think that you're talking to my dad. So professor is totally fine. I have been teaching at Central in the educational technology program for about the last 5 years. Prior to that, I had taken a break for a few years, but I had actually taught in the program a few years prior to that. And going back even further, I actually did my master's in educational technology from Central. So I went through the master's program at the School for Educational Technology and have since been involved as adjunct faculty with the department. Um, my day job is I teach music at a high school in sort of up towards northwestern Connecticut. If you know where the towns of Burlington and Harwinton, Connecticut are, that's Regional School District number 10, and that's where I teach. This is my 24th year in that district as a music teacher. Over the years, I've taught every grade level except for sixth grade. Somehow I managed to skip sixth grade. Don't know how that worked out, but it did. And I've done everything from kindergarten classroom music to band to chorus. The main thing that I've done for the past 12 years or so is run a rock ensemble program at the school. So we have a curricular ensemble program that is focused on rock and pop music, and that's been my main thing. So that is my day job. I know many of you in this class are either on your way to becoming teachers or you are teachers currently. I know we have graduate students in this class. We have undergraduate students in this class. We've got students in a wide variety of educational majors and so on. So it's always fun for me to work with this class because this is the one that I teach that has kind of the widest range of students in it. So I love seeing that, and I love working with this group. So that's just a tiny bit about me, just so you know a little bit about where I'm coming from. That I've both been through the ed tech program at Central, and I am also a full-time school teacher and have been so for, I hate to say it, almost a quarter of a century now, but that I guess is the way the math works out. So what I'd like to do to start off is just really quickly, and I know I think pretty much all of you did a post in the introduce yourself the course overview section of Blackboard, and I appreciate that, especially in these classes where we don't meet regularly. It's super helpful for me to be able to refresh my memory about who is who and so on. But in addition to that, I would love to just quickly go around the class right now while everybody is here and just give everybody a chance to do a quick introduction, just so that each of you knows also who's here, and sort of where everybody is. So, you don't have to give us whole life stories, but just who you are, what your program is at Central. I know some of you are. I think we have some history people here, and some world language people here, and some PE people here, and some ed leadership people here. So we've got a good range. So just maybe fill us in a little bit about what program you're in and maybe where you are in that program. I know a lot of you may be preparing for student teaching soon, which is always a very exciting time. So, just quick couple of things about you. If there's something you'd like to share, you can throw that into. That's totally fine. So, yeah, so why don't we just quickly go around with the number of us here. Sometimes if I have smaller classes, I'll let people just kind of chime in, but I think with 16 of us here or 15 of us here, it's going to be easier if I just kind of run down the roster. But because I know the people at the end of the alphabet always feel like they go last, I'm going to go reverse through the alphabet. So Nico, I think that means you are actually up first. If you want to chime in and just give us a quick introduction.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good.
My name is Nico. I'm a physical education major. And if I'm being honest, I miss what else I have to share about myself.
That you pretty much covered the basics there. If there's anything else you'd like to share, something of interest about yourself, but you don't have to.
Aside from being an athlete, I was also a musical performer once upon a time in another life. A musical theater performer, sorry.
Oh, nice. I've been very involved with theater as well. That's my second career. I used to work at the Hartford Stage Company as a
Oh, wonderful.
theater technician. So I do the lighting and sound side of things and all that. But great to
Lovely.
hear.
I have a lot of friends that worked at Hartford Stage as well.
Oh, no kidding. My wife was the costume shop manager there for almost 20 years. So we have connections there that go pretty far back.
Way back, huh?
So, all right. Well, welcome to the class, Nico. Thank you for being here. I apologize, and maybe this would be something that you can help correct me on. But Kadia, am I even close on that?
It's Khadija.
Khadija. All right. Thank you.
So I'm in my post-bac program. I finished my master's at Central in applied linguistics. And right now I am a TA in a high school and working with my ESOL kids. And I'm looking forward to this class, kind of just helping my ESOL kids get familiarized with technology and stuff.
All right. Well, welcome to the class, Khadija. I'll just keep the ball rolling here. Ariana.
Hi,
There we go.
everyone.
You're all set.
My name is Ariana. I am working towards my teacher certification here at Central via the post-bac certification. And yeah, this is my second semester with Central. Pretty exciting.
What area do you teach in?
I'm an ELO tutor,
Oh, okay.
so I'm working towards the TESOL certification. So
All right.
kind of a little bit of everything.
Well, all right. Sounds good. Well, welcome to the class, Ariana.
Thank you. Welcome everyone else.
Yep. All right. Next up, going backwards here, Lord.
Lourdes.
Lourdes, thank you for correcting me.
I like to go by Lola though.
Okay.
I'm a post-bac student, PE major, and a fun fact about me is that I took up rollerblading last year, so I'm going to continue with that.
Awesome. I know that was very, very popular for a while. In fact, I used to do some rollerblading because I used to ice skate. So rollerblading was a way to kind of keep that going during the summer. But I will admit I have not had a pair of rollerblades on in many years.
Super
So,
fun. I like it.
yeah, I would probably damage myself more than I would want to if I were to try it now. But all right, well, thank you and welcome to the class, Lola.
Thanks.
Nafisa. Oh, I think you're still muted.
My bad.
That's all
New
right.
laptop. We're figuring it out. So yeah, so I'm a secondary English ed major. You know, I'm just going into my senior year. I just got into the ed program actually, so this is my first semester doing these kind of courses. So I'm just navigating that kind of thing. I don't really know what else to add, so
It's all good. All right. Well, welcome to the class.
look forward to meeting you all.
All right. All right. Perry, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Perry. I'm a physical education major too, and I'm going to be doing my student teaching in spring 2024.
All right. So a year away. The clock is
Yep.
ticking. Very exciting. All right. Well, welcome to the class, Perry.
Thank
Ava, you're up next.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Ava. I'm also a phys ed major, and I'm also student teaching in the spring of 24. And fun fact about me is I like to skateboard.
All right. That is something I have definitely never tried and would definitely hurt myself severely if I were to try it. So I respect those who can. All right. Well, welcome to the class. Let's see, Jefferson.
Hi, my name is Jefferson. I'm a junior at Central in the History BACD program for secondary education.
All right. Well, welcome to the class. Let's see, Nick, you are up next.
Hello, my name is Nick. I'm Nick Donovan. What's up? I'm phys ed. I'm not good with fun facts. So.
That's all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to the class. Let's see. We're getting close here. Jeremy, it looks like you're up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy. I'm a phys ed, postbac student. Fun fact about me is that I coach high school basketball. That's currently on right now.
Yeah, so you're doing double duty this evening. So I appreciate you making the time to be here.
Yeah.
Hopefully
No
practice.
problem.
Hopefully practice is going well.
It is.
All right. All right. Well, welcome, Jeremy. Let's see. 4 to go here. Brianna.
Wait 1 second. There we go.
There you are.
Hi. This is my second year at Central. I'm a Spanish education major. I had transferred from Drew Rivers Community College. And this is my first semester in the education program, so I'm pretty excited to get started with all these classes. And like some of the other classmates mentioned, next spring I'll be doing student teaching. So.
All right. Well, welcome to the class, Brianna. Let's see, Jake.
Hi, my name's Jake Baker. I'm a phys ed major and I'm a senior. And I'll be student teaching next semester if everything follows as planned.
All right. So teaching in the fall, student teaching in the fall.
Yeah. And then I guess some of my just personal interests, I'm a big golfer and then just love sports.
Awesome. Well, it's a good place to be if you're going to be a PE teacher. Be
Yes,
awfully
sir.
hard to not enjoy sports. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to the class, Jake. Mercy.
Hi, my name is Mercy. I am a secondary ed history major, and I plan on student teaching next year as well, spring 2024.
All right. Well, welcome to the class. And this brings us, last but certainly not least, Alexandra.
Hello, my name is Alexandra. I'm a secondary ed major, history. Fun fact about me, I have a cat named Milo.
Awesome. All right. Well, first of all, I don't want to say it never happens, but it's kind of rare that I get everybody on these opening nights. I really appreciate everybody being here. Like I said, in terms of your time commitment, you will not need to plan on being here for the next, I guess it would be 6 weeks of Monday nights, if you don't need to be or can't. But it's great to have everybody here at least to touch base on this initial class and kind of get the ball rolling. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Like I said, tonight is not about instruction. This is not a lecture. It's more just going over the scope of the class. The class is designed to primarily be more or less an asynchronous model of class. So all of the materials, everything that you will need for the class will be posted in Blackboard. And basically you can work through the course at your own pace. There will be, I call it suggested due dates. There is sort of a sequence to the work. And because it's an 8-week class, I know the time frame is somewhat compressed. So I do encourage you to try to stay with the organization of the class from week to week. But if you need a couple of extra days to wrap something up and get it turned in, that's going to be fine, because again, it's largely meant to be kind of self-paced and self-run. So just keep that in mind as we go through. What I'm going to do is flip over here, and I know that you all know how to read, but I'm going to pull the syllabus up on the screen here just to have it to sort of refer to as I go through things. And along the way, obviously, if you have questions or concerns or anything like that, please don't hesitate to stop me. I'm not going to read everything in the syllabus, but I just want to touch on some sort of major things. In terms of getting in touch with me, email is probably the safest way, just because I get email, my university email, on all my devices. And the address is right there in the syllabus. I don't have any sort of normal campus office hours. So if you need to meet with me, have a chat with me about something, email me. We could always set up a time to meet via WebEx if we needed to, or just deal with things through email. Remind is the other tool that I use, and I think most, if not all of you, did get signed up on the Remind list. I promise that I'm not going to spam you with tons of texts each week, but generally once a week I send out an email, maybe towards the end of the weekend, just kind of sort of touching base about what's happening for the following week, if there's any updates, things like that. But that's another way that you can get in touch with me. So please don't hesitate to reach out at any time with any questions. I'm not 100%, but I'm probably around 98%. If you email me, I will try to get back to you by the end of the following day. So if you were to email me something today, I will have a reply back to you of some sort by the end of tomorrow. If for some reason you don't hear back from me after you've sent me an email and it's been a day or so, don't hesitate to follow up either. Occasionally, I do lose track of an email here and there, and I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you. So don't hesitate. To just reach out again if you need to. Basically, what this class is about is, since most, if not all of you, are going to be teachers, are teachers in training, getting ready to student teach. What this class is focused on is the technology piece of lesson planning. No matter what your subject area is, it is basically unavoidable these days to not also be expected to be incorporating technology into what you do. Sometimes it's a really natural fit. Sometimes you are literally teaching something that is about technology. But in other cases, it's more learning how to integrate various technologies into what you're doing. So that's basically what this 8 weeks is about, is we're going to take a lesson plan. The main project that each of you is going to be completing is to actually create a full lesson plan for a lesson. But we're going to use that as a touchstone for incorporating technology at various levels, whether that's designing the lesson, whether that's providing sort of presentation materials to support a lesson in the classroom or online, whether that's creating materials to teach a lesson through, videos, handouts, graphics, audio recordings, interactive web apps, things like that. And then also the assessment piece of it and looking at how technology and assessment can be brought together. So the idea is to take an existing lesson or a lesson that you might teach and just use that as a platform and take a look each week at sort of a different way of incorporating technology into things. So the analogy I like to use is I want to expand your toolboxes, so that when you're in a classroom, when you're designing a lesson, when you're working with students, you know sort of the range and some ideas of things that you can incorporate into those lessons that involve technology and so on. So that's what in a nutshell, that's what this next 8 weeks is going to be about. In terms of the major projects, the major one is the lesson plan I was just talking about. For all of you who said you're heading off into student teaching sometime in the next year, I use the actual CCSU lesson plan template that they provide through the office that does the student teaching placement. So that'll actually also give you a bit of an introduction into the types of forms that you're going to need to fill out when you get into that student teaching experience. So you'll be filling that out. You will be alongside of that, because one of the main ways that technology gets incorporated is through learning management systems. The most popular one by far these days is Google Classroom. Many of you have probably used Google Classroom. You've taken classes that use Google Classroom. Maybe you've used Google Classroom as a teacher already. We are going to use that platform, because it's free. If you didn't know it, anybody can sign up and use Google Classroom. You don't have to be a teacher. So you're gonna be using Google Classroom as kind of a companion for your lesson plan, as a place where you can practice organizing materials in a learning management system that you would be using to teach a lesson. So that's going to be sort of the sub project. And then beyond that, there are going to be kind of small weekly things. Some of them will be discussions, discussion forums. Some of them might be more what I call like production or mini projects, where you're either locating a technology resource or creating a bit of a technology resource on your own. So all of those like smaller weekly class activities will be sort of the third aspect of grading in here. Beyond that, I mean, a lot of this is stuff you've seen in other course syllabuses, so I don't know that I need to read through it. In terms of the attendance piece, again, tonight was sort of a required synchronous class. You are all here, so yay for us. The only other one will be, as I said, the final meeting of the class, and that'll just be to give us a chance to do some wrap up and some debriefing on things and a little bit of presentations of some projects. Anything in between for this class, none of the other Monday nights are required. So if you can't make it to a Monday night, you don't even need to let me know, because I will be here, but I will basically just be going over the week's material. If you're here, if you have questions you need to ask, that's great. But if you don't want to be here or can't be here, you're off the hook, because this is mainly an asynchronous class. Obviously, inclement weather. I mean, it affected some of us today. I had no school today. Our school district got canceled because of snow. Obviously, since again, we're mainly asynchronous, I don't think it's going to really affect us at all, but I use Remind in case there's any weather related types of things that I need to get in touch with the class about, but I don't anticipate that being having much of an impact, because we are asynchronous. In terms of the schedule for the course, again, it is an 8-week class, so it's going to go by really quickly. What I've tried to do is kind of focus on a different aspect of educational technology each week. Obviously, this week we're basically just kind of getting an overview of everything. And then the work for this week will be getting up and running on a couple of these projects. We will look at design, sort of some basic design principles next week, which are underpin all of educational technology, regardless of what it is. We're going to spend a couple of weeks then looking at the interactive aspect of educational technology. And this is really where educational technology shines, is rather than having a passive textbook that a student just reads, technology allows us ways to present those materials in ways that can be a lot more engaging with students, where students are actually interacting with the material in various ways. So we'll spend a couple of weeks kind of exploring that aspect of educational technology. We'll spend a couple of weeks looking at actually making technology-based materials. We're going to use multimedia as the touchstone for that. I would love if I could have you do projects of all different types, but again, 8 weeks. We don't have a lot of time. So the nice thing about a multimedia project, a video project, is that it kind of incorporates visual design things. It incorporates obviously video and audio. Interactivity can be built in. So we're going to use that as our touchstone for sort of educational materials. And then we'll spend the last instructional week of the class looking at the assessment piece of the puzzle, and some of the challenges and opportunities that technology gives us when it comes to assessment in the classroom. And then that final week 8, again, we will just gather together. Everything is due at that point. We'll do a couple of quick presentations, and just kind of wrap up the class at that point. So it is going to fly by, but I've taught this class a number of times and over a number of semesters, and the workload seems pretty manageable, at least from the feedback that I've received from students. So that's that. And like I said, I put in here homework due this class. Two things with that. Number one, always look to Blackboard first. Occasionally, I might have to make some adjustments in schedule for whatever reasons. So Blackboard will always have the most up-to-date information. But also, again, the due dates on assignments are flexible for this class. So, week 3 here, it says that lesson plan, you're going to have this much of the lesson plan done. But if you need some more time to finish that up, that's going to be fine. But like I said, don't dig yourself into a hole by putting off all of the work until the last week of the class, because that obviously is going to just put a lot of strain on you, and none of us wants that to happen. So this is sort of a suggested timeline just so that you can stay on top of the work as we go through. The rest of the syllabus, there's a little bit here with the ISTE standards. If you're not familiar with the ISTE standards, it's I think it's the International Society for Technology Education. I think that's what it stands for. I could be wrong. But each of you is working in a particular subject area, PE, world language, social studies, whatever. And hopefully you've learned about your content area standards, whatever has been adopted in your area as your content standards. The ISTE standards are showing up more and more in school districts as kind of a secondary set of standards that teachers are being asked to use and to work with. I know in my own district, our IT people have been going around to all the departments and meeting with them and introducing them to the ISTE standards. In our district curriculum documents, there is a place where we can identify what ISTE standards we're supporting. So even as a music teacher, I'm being expected to be incorporating technology standards into what I do as well. So if you're unfamiliar with them, this is just a rundown of both the teacher and the student, the teacher standards. There is a set of student standards as well. If you go to their website, it details those also. So there's kind of two different sets of standards for ISTE. So that's just another thing to kind of take a look at. The learning outcomes here, these have to do with this course itself and just what we're going to be going through. You can take a look through those as you wish. So that is the syllabus overview for the course. Before I get into a couple more specifics on projects and the coming week, any questions that I can answer right now? Try to make good use of my wait time skills. All right, so good to go then. So I'm just going to keep going here. So the way that I try to organize Blackboard each week is it will start off with an overview page that will just give a summary of what the week is about. It'll give sort of a suggested sequence of things to do, and we'll also then summarize at the end of it sort of what the homework or what the classwork for the coming week is. So for this first week, I've got some goals here at the top. Overview for this week, it's basically what I'm going to be going over tonight. So you're all here, you're all listening to me, but if you need to go back and kind of refresh your memory about what this class is about, I've got an overview there. So in terms of the activities for the week, and I know this is probably a little small on your screens. I'll try to blow it up a little bit here, but it is also in Blackboard. This week is basically, there's sort of 4 subtopics for the week, and they don't all necessarily have homework you have to complete on them. So it's going to look like a lot more work than it probably actually is. So let me just kind of introduce what each of those 4 is for the week. Get back to here. So number 1 is going to be a little bit of an introduction or an overview about instructional design models. There are literally dozens of accepted instructional design models out there in the world. They all have certain strengths and certain weaknesses that have been identified with them. So the key is not necessarily that I'm going to be saying this is the best model and you should always use this instructional design model. But I do want you to have a bit of an understanding, A, that instructional design models exist, because a lot of school districts do adopt a particular model that they use. So if you get into a school district, it's something you're going to need to kind of work within their framework. And also just to kind of know, what is typically in an instructional design model. So if you really like to geek out about this stuff, here's a list of maybe a dozen of the more common ones. Yes, that's a dozen. There are many more beyond that. Some of them are more well known than others. ADDIE shows up a lot as one of the main models. The one that we are going to be looking at most closely for this class, and the only reason I'm picking it is so that we are all using kind of a unified plan, and also because it is probably the most widely used in school districts, is one that's called Understanding by Design, or UBD. So the first step here is just, if you're not familiar with Understanding by Design as an approach, just to get an introduction into it. So I've got a little bit of a write-up here, but then there's a video that you can watch that kind of introduces what Understanding by Design is about. There is also in Blackboard an article, a white paper, and this is probably more than you would ever want to know about Understanding by Design, but this is kind of the official overview of this approach to instructional design. So this would be, it's not super long. There's a lot of graphics and things like that to take up most of the space, but it's also a good introduction to just kind of knowing what this particular approach is about. Like I said, my goal is not to like indoctrinate you into understanding by design. The school district you work in or end up working in might use a completely different model. My school district used this quite a bit, maybe, I don't know, a decade ago. It was kind of all we talked about. And we still do use it, but they're sort of not as vocal about that this is what we're using. But it is still the model when they talk about curriculum design and so on. It is still the model that we use in our district. So that's step one. Just get yourself familiar with understanding by design. That should help you as you go into your lesson planning project because it'll give you an approach to think about and a way to think about designing a class. So part two then is an introduction to the actual lesson plan project. I want to get you started on this right away because it is kind of the touchstone project for the whole course. So I don't want to wait on it. So this page will give you an overview for the whole project. You will, as I said, you'll be picking an actual lesson that you want to design. It could be something that you already teach or have taught. It could be something that you anticipate teaching in the future. I am always a big fan of trying to make things as practical as possible. So if you can design this lesson plan and it is actually a lesson plan that you could actually then use in an actual classroom with students, then great, because that means that the work that you put into it, you can then actually put into practice in the classroom. But that may not work out for everyone. So, whatever topic you end up choosing. So you're going to be starting by thinking about just like, what do you want to teach? What might a potential lesson be? What possible subject might you focus on? This is a single lesson plan. So this would be designed to be taught over a single, whatever, 40, 50, 60-minute class period. So it's not an entire unit of study. It's just focusing on a single class meeting. And to help you along, I'm providing you with the lesson plan template that Central uses, as I mentioned earlier. So I've got two versions of it available. The first one is a PDF of it. This will be just the blank lesson plan form. And then it also includes the little write-ups that Central provides that are sort of the explanations of each of the boxes on the form. So it'll be good introduction to kind of how they structured the form and what they expect to see in each of the fields as they go. The other one is a Word document version of the form. This is the one that you will actually be filling in and submitting as part of your work for this class. So in terms of this week, download the Word document, save it somewhere, you can rename it. There are actually two lesson plan templates in the document. The reason I did that, you'll be filling in the first one with your project plan. The other one's in there just so that you always have a blank version of the form to go back to. So if, I don't know, if you suddenly decide you want to switch to a different topic and you don't want to go back and erase everything you've already done, you've got a second one there. You could always just save it as a template for future use, or refer back to it down the road if you're looking for a lesson plan form that you can fill in. So there's two copies of the form in the document. You only need to fill in one of them for this course. So that's basically part two for the week, is to familiarize yourself with the lesson plan form, and start to think about what you want to do as your lesson. You don't have to fill in anything quite yet, other than maybe just a basic subject area, but you'll have the form that you can start filling in. Third thing is to focus on, as I said, I want to kind of focus on a different area of educational technology each week. So what we're going to look at this week is social media, which is a huge topic in schools right now, positive and negative. So there's a lot to kind of dig into here. So in terms of your work for this week, look over the page that I've provided here with sort of some overview information about social media in the classroom. I've got a couple of videos embedded in the page here and a couple of articles linked on the page here for you to take a look at, to think about, to start to think about in terms of incorporating maybe into your own lesson planning. Um, but this will be kind of the specific technology that we look at this week, or class of technologies. Um, and again, there's a lot positive that you can use with social media in education, but there's obviously a lot of negatives too. So it's going to be a lot about kind of thinking about both sides of that coin. So that's part 3 of the week. And then the final bit of the week is getting started with that Google Classroom piece of the lesson plan project. In the past, I used a different platform for doing this work, but that platform is no longer available to me through Central. So I'm moving everything over to Google Classroom. It's perfectly fine to use. My own school district is not a Google school, but a lot of school districts are. And like I said, many, if not most of you, probably already have some experience with Google Classroom, either as a teacher or a student. So the reason that I'm using it is free. Anyone can set up a Google Classroom. All you need is a Google account. And once you're logged in under your Google account, you can go to classroom.google.com and just click a plus, and you can create a class, and you can set up all the materials and everything and invite people to the class. So you do not need to be associated with a school in order to use Google Classroom. With that said, some of you who maybe have used Google Classroom in a school as a teacher, you will probably have had access to additional tools that the school may have purchased to use in Google Classroom that are not necessarily going to be available in just the free version of Google Classroom. So just be aware of that. But in terms of work, what to do this week, it's really just about getting a class set up, basically getting logged into Google Classroom, adding a class in, and doing just sort of some basic getting familiar with the platform, what it looks like from the teacher's perspective. You're going to just add in one single page that's just going to be an introduction to you, so that if a student were taking this lesson and they were doing it online, they could kind of get a sense of who you are as a teacher. So on this page in Blackboard, again, there's some information, there's some instructions, there's a video to watch that's sort of an overview of Google Classroom. I've got some links to sort of the web resources that Google provides for teachers who are going to use Google Classroom, so you can check that out. But basically, in terms of the work, get an account set up in Google. The only suggestion or the only request I'm going to make is to please use not a school account to set up your Google Classroom for 2 reasons. One of them, if you use an email that's already part of a Google School environment, that is going to restrict what you're able to do, because they're going to put you inside of whatever managed structure your school uses. So use a personal email, or sorry, a personal Google account. You can set up a new one if you don't want to use an existing account you have. You could always set up a new one. Also, by not setting it up through a school, it means that I will be able to see your classroom and see all the materials in it. A lot of school Google Classroom environments are behind firewalls where you have to have an account through that school's system in order to be able to access the class. So in order for me to be able to see your work, set it up through a personal Google account as opposed to a school one. Then once you're logged in, you just go to the Google Classroom page, which I've got linked here. Set up a new class. There's just a plus sign that you click and it sets up a new class. You can name the class whatever you want. I just ask that you get EDT 315 into the title somehow, just so that I know when I'm looking at the classrooms that they're the ones that are for this class. You can customize the look of the site somewhat, so you can do that if you want to. Um, and the only thing I want you to add this week is you're going to create, they call it a material page or a material resource. And that basically is kind of just a blank container where you can put text in and so on. And you're going to just do a quick introduction to yourself. We are going to pretend that these Google Classrooms are being used by your students so that they can take the lesson that you're designing, not in person, basically sort of asynchronously. So you're going to imagine that this Google Classroom environment is for a student who, I don't know, they missed the class, they were out of school or something like that, and they need to make up the class. By going to this Google Classroom page, they will be able to work through the materials for your lesson plan project. So I want you to have just a quick introduction to yourself on the page, so the student has that there. And then once you have it set up, just invite me to the class so that I can be a student in your class and see the work that you've done. And I've just got a brief instruction here about how you do that. You click on people, then you add the students, and you'll send the invite to my CCSU email. So millerd@ccsu.edu. And that will send an invitation to me, and then I will be able to add myself to your class. So yeah, so in terms of the Google Classroom, it's mostly this week about just getting it set up, getting that first page in there, and just becoming familiar with the platform as much as you can for going forward. So that is the scope of the work for this week. Again, I know in Blackboard it looks like a lot, but in terms of actual assignments, and I'm going back here to the overview page, in terms of actual assignments, it boils down to like reading the article about understanding by design, and that's a relatively brief paper. Download the CCSU lesson plan template. So that'll take a few seconds, get it saved somewhere, maybe just look through it. Start developing your ideas for your topic. But again, you don't have to actually tell me what that is this week. You don't have to fill in anything. Just be thinking about what would make a good lesson. Remember that you will be incorporating technology into the lesson. So if you're thinking through lesson options, think about ones that might be able to incorporate technology a little easier. Then there's one discussion forum, and that's related to the social media. So once you've looked through the social media stuff, you'll go to that forum, and the instructions for the forum are there. You'll just create your own post, and then as other people post in the class, take a look at what they've posted, and if you can, get some conversations going there. And then what I just went over in Google Classroom is really just about setting up your account, setting up your class, and inviting me to the class. So that's really what all the work boils down to, is more a bunch of reading and just kind of getting things set up over the course of this week. So hopefully that seems manageable. Next week, like I said, we're going to look at design, and we will start filling in some of the initial things on the lesson plans, and then start getting into the specific technology pieces for the lesson plan projects. All right, I know that I just covered a lot of ground. There's a lot there to go through. It is all in Blackboard, everything I just went through. I do record every class. So actually within the next hour or so, there will be a video on the week one overview page that will have everything that I went over tonight. So if you've forgotten anything or need to go back and review something I said, you can always go back. And also for the coming weeks, that there will always be a video too from the Monday night. And other than that, we're pretty much off and running for our quick 8-week dash through some educational technology topics. So that's pretty much it. Any questions I can answer before I send you all on your merry way this chilly and snowy Monday night? All right. I will take that silence as a good sign that we're in good shape. So, final thing again, the next 6 Monday nights, I will be on WebEx at 7:20. And I will do sort of what I did tonight. It probably won't take as long in the following weeks because I obviously won't be having to go over the initial course overview and the introductions and all that. So feel free to join if you have questions. That would be a great time to drop in and ask those questions. If you have the question, it's likely others in the class do too. So it would be good to get those out into the air. But again, if you are not available on a Monday night, I will be recording and posting those videos so you can always get caught up. They are not mandatory until we get to the final week of the course. All right, so with that said, I think that's as much as we need to do for a Monday night. So again, I thank you all for being here. It's great that everyone made it, that I've touched base with everyone. Please reach out with any questions. I will stay here in the room until everyone's logged out. So if you have something you want to hang out and ask me, you can do so. But if not, have a great evening, have a great week, and I will either see you next week or not. But I will be looking forward to seeing your work as we go through the course. So you are all set. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too.
Have a great night. Take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it.